I am Geneva Perkins, and I am the host today. One of the hosts today on Chicagoland Sport Radio is not just sport; it's a way of life. My other host is Jose. How you feeling today, Jose?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Chicagoland Sports Radio, and let's talk sports with, of course, two amazing guests that we have here today. We have Ayinde Avery and Robbie Anderson. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you.
To the school. Oh, of
Thank
course,
you.
we appreciate you guys coming in today. And the conversation we're going to be having is conversations with you two about your journey within this fitness world, how you guys came about it. It's all a conversation about you guys and just spread awareness on bodybuilding and just cool stuff like that. Because I'm very interested. I know Gigi, you're
I'm
interested.
definitely interested.
She did a lot of research for this show, so we're gonna have some fun today. Okay,
Yes.
go ahead, Gigi.
So first, I want to ask you guys, why bodybuilding? Like, what made you guys decide? You know what? I want to do bodybuilding.
Okay, that's a great question, Ayinde. You want to go in? You want to answer that question first?
You're not gonna get me in trouble with my mother, ladies first.
Well, for me, it became I have a love. I've always had a love for fitness in general, and so it became I had a funny story with one of my girlfriends. We were working out, and I always would go hard and be extra in the gym. And she said to me, "What you training for?" And I was like, it was funny, and I laughed. But then it became a thing of, what am I training for? You know what I mean? I always go hard. There was a certain aesthetic that I wanted to have, a certain appearance, a certain way that I wanted to look, and I wanted to be healthy. But then it became a thing of, okay, well, where are we going to take this? So competing for me was just another level, for me to challenge myself.
Okay.
So that's what it was about for me. Just, I wanted to go to the next level.
Nice.
Yeah. And
Nice.
have purpose in my training.
No, absolutely.
Mine was a combination of things. So it was different steps. I used to play basketball professionally, and I tore my Achilles. So after that, it was kind of like a depression phase because I couldn't play anymore. So I started going out, having a little too much fun with some adult drinks and late night eating. So my eating habits, they went from great to the worst. So I picked up a lot of unwanted weight. The weight I'm at now is actually weight I was at before, but body composition wise, I look totally different. So that led me into bodybuilding. And I had a decent coach, but this was his first time trying to coach somebody with my height.
Yeah.
So it was just an adjustment. So I came in a lot smaller than expected. I went from 260 to 180. So when I showed up on stage, very conditioned, but I was just muscle-wise a lot smaller.
Yeah.
But I still placed. I earned a fifth place trophy, so it just built that interest, and I wanted to beat everybody. So that competitiveness really kicked in. And from there, I was just like, I have to. Like, I got to stick with it. And then the following year, I took first place and earned a national qualifier. So there it just took off. Like, I just can't stop now. So that's what really got me into it and got me hooked.
I'm sure, getting into this type of lifestyle change, right? It has to be rough right away. Like, what was one of the biggest difficulties or challenges you guys faced early on when you decided, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to become a bodybuilder.
Well, I think you have to love the sport.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably one of the things that we all have in common when you see competitors. It's not a thing where you're, with just fitness in general, you have people who it's a hard thing for them to do. And I think most competitors, you will see this is the passion that they have.
Yeah.
They love the sport. It may be for the average person, it may seem like, challenging,
Yeah.
But I think we just wanting to improve and get to the next level is the way that we challenge ourselves. So in general, I think we love it. That's what I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like Robbie said,
Our love for it.
you love the sport, and majority of the time, we already love working out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So the working out part is easy for us.
Yeah.
The hardest part is really the food. You're eating a lot of food and just making sure you're cooking the food. You're reading labels all the time. So that's really the hardest part, or at least it was for me when I first started.
We were just having this conversation earlier about the misconceptions, right? The average person would think that people who are into fitness and competitive sport probably think that we deprive ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So it's not about deprivation. It's about eating, you know what I mean, balanced so that, you can, in your case, come in a little bit bigger, you know what I mean, and build that muscle. So we do eat a lot. We do
Definitely.
eat a lot. Yeah.
How many times do you eat a day?
It depends. It depends. So right now, I can speak for myself. I have 6 meals a day that I'm eating in my plan.
Yeah,
So
mine
that's
is.
pretty much average, right?
Yeah, that's pretty standard.
Yeah.
Mine is more 6 or 7. And I carb cycle. So some days my carbs are a lot higher and lower. So it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you go from a bodybuilder's diet to not a person that's not a bodybuilder's diet? Like I know that you guys don't um train your bodies to eat 6 times a day, like every day.
Actually, I do.
Really?
Yeah. So it would if you have a good coach and a good plan, you're going to reverse diet, right?
Okay.
So you don't want to go right out of your competition, plan into just eating whatever you want and then you fall off the plan. So you're going to reverse diet, and depending on what your goals are for the year, you're going to stay on some type of plan. It may not be as restrictive as what you would be when you're in a prep, getting ready for a show, but you definitely want to stay. And in my business with my clients, this is something that I tell them all the time. You want to consistently eat, 6, 7 small meals a day. This is your way of life, not necessarily just, something that you do part-time or, to reach a goal. It's something that you want to consistently do.
Yeah.
Um, to see results or to maintain whatever it is your goal is.
Absolutely, I agree. I actually know some people who didn't reverse. There's 2 names for it, reverse or rebound. They didn't do that, and they just started eating cereal and junk food, and they crashed their metabolism. So they had to take a full year off
Really?
just to get their levels back. So that's, it can be dangerous if you don't follow proper protocols. That's why Robbie was talking about it's good to have a good coach that could teach you these things and give you a good plan to follow.
And having a good coach, I'm pretty sure when it comes to having a coach and meal prep and everything that you have to do to become the bodybuilder that you want to be is very expensive.
It can be. It can be.
Yes. I know for me, it's definitely expensive. For me, it's expensive because of how much food I have to eat. I'm eating right now about 5,000 calories a day, and it's going to increase. So my grocery bill is around $200 a week.
That's a lot.
5,000 calories a day. Wow.
Yeah, but I'm trying to get to at least 2.
Well, it balances itself
I'm sure
out
it does,
because
yeah.
we're not eating fast food. We're not
Right.
going out. You know what I mean? So I
Right.
kind of think that's kind of my rationale
Right.
for it. It balances itself out because I'm not in the streets just going to McDonald's and buying all these different fast foods and things like that. But in terms of coaching, I mean, it depends. You don't want to. I have coaches who will charge you, astronomical amounts of money, and they're really not quality coaches. I have had coaches who have not been as expensive and have been awesome coaches. It's not necessarily their livelihood. It's a passion that they have for the sport, and they've been great coaches. So it depends. It depends. You have some good apples and some bad apples.
Yeah, and I definitely want to touch on that. When it comes to good apples and bad apples, you have, and this is throughout every builder's platform. You have coaches who are competitors, so they've competed once or twice, and now they assume that they're qualified to coach, and that's why we always tell people to research your coach, research what they tell you to do, because for one, you want to learn.
Right.
Secondly, you want to make sure they're looking out for your best interest as far as your health. If they're not looking out for that, you definitely have the wrong coach. Because there are some coaches that are just trying to make a name for themselves.
Yeah.
So they will put your body through the worst experience just to make themselves look good.
That's a good segue to my next question. Because for someone who wanted to get into this type of lifestyle, like, what advice do you have for them going in? Because you just mentioned that's something I didn't know. Like, you could really hurt your body just by the way you eat, going back and forth. Like, what advice would you give to somebody who would want to start bodybuilding?
Well, you want to vet. If you're going to use a coach, I would recommend if you're inexperienced and this is you're going to be your first time competing, you definitely want to vet your coaches. You want to do your researches, right? Research. That I think is the most important thing. And just to piggyback off of what I'm sorry, I don't want to mispronounce your name. Ayinde said, am I pronouncing it right?
Yes, you did.
You want to, what I typically do is when I'm vetting a coach, I will look at and interview and go through a process of talking to other team members that they've coached, getting feedback from them. And I have a little bit of experience in the fitness industry, so I kind of know when somebody is telling me something that sounds, a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you see those red flags, you definitely want to adhere to,
Gotcha.
what it is that and then just vetting.
Yeah.
Vetting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to go along with that, for the person itself, I would also tell them, try to develop a habit before you get a coach.
Got it.
Take 1 or 2 months, make sure you're going to the gym every day, or at least 5 days.
Right.
Try to stand there for about an hour, get a good workout in, and start reading labels. You have to know what to buy with your food. Try to see if you can eat the same food all week, because that's the easiest way when it comes to your meal prep. Because if you're trying to do 4 different proteins and 3 different, carbs, and you want to cook all that in one day, that's going to take up your entire day, and you probably only cook food for two days.
You guys are listening to Let's Talk Sports here at the London Media School on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. We have our guests, Ayinde Avery and Robbie Anderson. If you guys are in the comments, you can definitely put them up there. We'll you guys have questions for them both. We'll put them up there. We have Tamika Cross saying, "Wow, Robbie, you look amazing." So,
okay, thank you.
we have Skit Persa. How much are you putting on the bench? He wants to know how much, like if on the bench press, how much are you guys lifting?
Oh, well, I can't speak for you. It's going to be a little bit different for the both of us. I'm not doing a whole bunch of heavy lifting. It depends on where I am in my goals. You know what I mean? Right. So, I don't even want to answer that question because I'm afraid of what Ayinde is going to say.
People want to
look like
Well, it varies. In my off season, when I'm putting on more weight, so when you have more mass, you can move more mass.
Nice.
So when I'm really bulking, and this past January, I was at 306.
Okay.
So I was able to do 505 a couple of times. But naturally, I don't go for heavyweight. I go for volume. That was just the ego day.
I'm not pressed. I'm not doing that. But most of the time for me, it's just high reps. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be, I like a more feminine look.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely.
So that's the aesthetic that I go for. So
Gotcha.
I don't push a lot of heavyweight.
Yeah. Also to piggyback off that, bodybuilding is about aesthetics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Powerlifting is about how much weight you can move.
Okay.
Exactly.
So that's why really bodybuilders, we're not looking to push a lot of weight.
Yeah.
We're looking to do volume to build detail in your aesthetics.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's a misconception.
Yeah.
A lot of people
Absolutely.
have. Two different things, two different types of sports.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because that's definitely true. Because when you look, you look strong, people think, oh, he could probably bench so much, but you're right, it's more for the aesthetics.
But just to add, I can bench a lot.
There you go. Let them know. Let them know.
I'm not doing that.
What taking back to your guys' first competition, how was that? What was your feeling behind it? Because being your first, you're like, okay, here I am in front of people.
It was the best experience.
Really? Talk about that.
It was the best experience. My love for the sport, when my first competition, I was in the zone.
Yeah.
I was in the zone. And if I feel in subsequent competitions, I feel like if I could just get back to that, I think it's difficult more, your first time when you're competing, you're in the zone, and, I had my rituals and everything. And I think I was the most conditioned. I was a little small, but the most conditioned that I've ever been.
Yeah.
And if I could just get back to that mindset every time, then for me it was. I loved it.
That's awesome.
I loved it.
Yeah, I was terrified.
Really?
I was, because I'm going on stage. I'm wearing board shorts, no shirt, don't even have any socks or anything. So I'm like, so I'm just up here. But then I just went back to basketball.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I practiced everything. So just go up there like I'm practicing. But then it also kicked in. I was nervous for every basketball game I did,
Okay.
which was also funny. But after I left the stage, I did multiple categories. So when I went back, I just couldn't stop smiling again. So I was just having fun.
Yeah.
And it's for me, it's the same every time. I'm nervous before I go up there, but as soon as I'm standing up there, I'll see people, I'll start smiling, and from there, I'm just having fun.
Okay, speaking on the competitions, now we do have certain competitions.
Okay.
Who's the better? What's the best competition to be in?
Well, it would be different for you. So I would, for women, there's a few divisions that you could be in, and I prefer figure.
Okay.
I'm not the sort of
Muscular.
flamboyant, with bikini. It's a little bit different. Physique is not my thing. I like the structured poses of figure.
Okay.
More than I do, being the flamboyant. I'm not that person.
Yeah.
I just want to, get up there, hit those poses, and that's it. I don't want to have to put on a show.
Right.
Even with my individual routine, I did something one time, and it was very uncomfortable for me, and I could tell that on stage that I was very uncomfortable doing the routine. So I just like structured poses. I want to hit those poses, and that's it. So figure for me is that I stay in my lane.
Yeah. And I like the way you say that. I stay in my lane as well. I'm the tallest bodybuilder in the world.
Now that's the second time that you have mentioned that. So can you let everybody know how tall you are, please?
I'm 6'9".
6'9", guys.
Yeah.
He's 6'9".
So for me, I still have a basketball player's aesthetics. So my legs aren't really like tree trunks. So it's going to be a lot harder for me to develop those legs.
Okay.
So I stick with men's physique to where we can wear board shorts. Classic, they wear more of briefs, and then the huge bodybuilders like 212 and open and super heavyweight, they wear Speedos.
Okay.
So I'm not quad dominant. My hamstrings aren't large. So that's just a work in progress. But I can put on weight on my upper body and lose weight on my upper body pretty quickly. So men's physique is just a better fit for me. And for all, both women and men, it really just depends on your body type and what you're comfortable with. Because they have different divisions like wellness, which is more quad dominant. So it's just different. They have a category for everybody, really.
Okay, we do have bodybuilders where in some competitions it's okay to use steroids. And then we have another, I'm not sure of the names exactly, but then we also have another bodybuilding where it's strictly natural.
Yes.
So, of course, my question is, which one do you guys prefer, or have you ever just considered?
Personally, I
going the easy way?
prefer natural. Yeah, a natural organization.
Okay.
But that's not to say that that there's anything wrong with the other organizations. That just is my preference. And there's different reasons personally for that. In terms of my health and things as a woman, hormonally. And things like that I've experienced. So, but no knock against any other organization
For sure.
and what their protocols are for each his own.
Yeah. And that's really all it is. And I've actually known people who have dabbled with perform enhancers, and I've seen them go against natural guys, and they've lost. So it's really not what you're taking; it's the work that you put in. Because honestly, when you're dealing with performance enhancer, it enhances whatever you're doing. So if you're sitting on the couch, it's going to enhance that couch body. If you're putting in the work, then it enhances that. So for me, I like competing in the league that I'm in, which is the IFBB. It's NPC, which was the amateur league. And then once you turn pro, it's IFBB. I like competing in that league because it's just one of the most known. I think it's the oldest bodybuilding league. That was like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ronnie Coleman. And for me, I want to create history. Right now I'm the tallest, and I would be the tallest to ever be on the Olympia stage. That's my
Really?
goal.
That's amazing.
That's really
That is
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah.
I'd love to see
Nah, for real. I was, I'm glad you mentioned like someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger. But was there anybody that you guys looked up to? Someone that really influenced you when you got into this? Like, I like his style, I like his physique, I like the way he moves on stage. There's something that you kind of not mimic, but like you're influenced by.
I don't think I do. I don't think I do. Ironically, the sport was something that, people always said, oh, you should do that. You would be
Yeah.
really, really good at that. And I was against it.
Really?
Yeah, I was against it because, I've always felt like my opinion has changed now.
Yeah.
But as a woman, I just thought it was a man's sport.
Okay.
That was something, I didn't want to be really big and be muscular.
Mhm.
But then as I became more educated about the sport, I learned, what, it's not necessarily about that.
Yeah.
You can find a division that fits aesthetically what you prefer to
Okay.
look like, in real life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah. No, I just do my thing. I don't have anybody necessarily that I follow.
Yeah. For me, I was always interested in it as a little kid because I was always tall.
Okay.
As a fifth grader, I was taller than my teachers.
Really?
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
hit a growth spurt in 6th grade to 7th grade. I went from 5'10" to 6'5".
Wow.
I started my freshman year of high school at 6'6", but I was always thin.
Yeah.
I'm the same height as I was as a freshman in high school, but I was over 100 pounds smaller. So I was 150
Wow.
pounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, 6'9". As a freshman in high school.
Wow.
So I would my uncle used to always have these magazines of old bodybuilders. So
Yeah.
Arnold was one of my favorites. Flex Wheeler. Flex just had aesthetically, to me, he was the best. But
Yeah.
Ronnie Coleman was the biggest. But Arnold kind of brought it all to light because he came over here with nothing and it was just all about work and building relationships. So it's more of a combination for me with the guys, which is why I talk so much.
Absolutely. I want to get into the comments real quick because we have some people definitely tuning in, watching you guys. We have Tamika Cross saying, do you guys have any daily food tips for healthy weight loss that you may want to share with?
Well, it depends on what your goals are. So it was just to piggyback off of what Ayinde said earlier. You just kind of want to don't jump into it, right?
Yeah.
So you want to get with a coach. I don't recommend you, experimenting. You definitely want to get with somebody who can, kind of, you can have a conversation about what your goals are. And then they would be able to help you based on those goals. So being consistent first and foremost is going to be the main thing that I would advise. You can do the same thing consistently because it's going to get a little bit boring, right?
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that this is something that you can consistently do on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as food, I would say just try to stick with lean protein and also eat your carbs. People think that carbs are bad.
I always hear that. Yeah, I always hear
They're not. You can lose weight while eating carbs, but everything's in moderation. So that's why it's good to get with the coach.
Yeah.
So you'll know how many carbs your macros, basically on what's the amount of carbs you should eat throughout that week.
Okay. Nice. We have the Juan Kid is saying you look awesome. Ayinde wants to know, can you still dunk?
I want to give a shout out. That's my uncle in Alabama. He's also pretty tall, 6'7", I believe.
Nice.
Yeah. I haven't tried to dunk in a long time because I don't think my landing gear could take that. could take that. Yeah, it's been a long time since I actually played basketball. It's been over 10 years.
Nice. What position did you play?
In college, I was the 4 and the 5, but in high school, I played the 1 through the 5.
Nice.
Yeah.
Favorite position or
every position? My favorite position. To me, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
I was more the type of person just like to share the ball, rebound. I love defense, so I like the whole aspect of being on the team.
Nice.
What's up, like Jimmy Butler?
Jimmy
That was a little bit better, but
right.
Definitely my favorite.
That's her favorite. Yes.
Shout out to Jimmy Butler.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Jimmy Butler.
No, Jimmy, real nice.
We have one from Jordan T. Question for Robbie: are women backstage catty during competition?
They are not. Actually, and I want to dispel the myth right now. That is not the case.
Nice,
There's
okay.
no cattiness. We are, there's a lot of camaraderie.
Yeah.
Women that you have never, I have met women backstage who have become some really good friends of mine. We are very supportive. You have women who are helping you get into your suit, helping you tape your suit, helping you with your, your tan and all of that. So no, definitely not any cattiness behind stage.
Nice.
We're very supportive of one another.
How are the
In
guys
the industry.
backstage?
Yes and no, but it's more no.
Yeah.
It's just more competitiveness.
Okay.
So you'll see some guys like they give you a stare just to kind of check out what their competition is.
Oh, they're
Right.
definitely sizing you.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
Do
But-
they really size you up?
Yeah,
6'9"?
Absolutely.
They
They
do.
size you up.
They do. But I think it's just human nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you see somebody in the same competition, if you're walking past them, you're gonna give somebody that once over,
For sure.
and then you're gonna look in the mirror and it's like, okay, I got him there.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
But,
Absolutely.
So that's the only really thing. But like Robbie said, when we're backstage, everybody's exchanging like numbers,
Yeah.
Instagram pages. We're all communicating. So I guess my friendships have grown since I started the sport
Nice.
because I have friends
Definitely.
in Florida. And my first pro show, there was another guy who was doing his first pro show, and he's from Tampa. And then he didn't tell anybody that he was doing the Chicago Pro. And I see him in line, and it's like we've never been apart.
Yeah.
So we were just hanging out, so we couldn't wait to have that cheat meal either. So
Oh, that's a good question. What is your go-to cheat meal?
I think
Afterwards.
mine is always pizza.
Okay.
Always pizza. And maybe a burger, but my go-to is definitely pizza. That's what I crave. I think
Any type of pizza that you
the
Pepperoni,
works.
sausage.
The works.
There you
I
go.
want it all. I want it all.
There
Yeah,
you
for
go.
sure. For sure.
So I make my cheat meal an experience.
No.
So I'll take myself out, or if nobody wants to go, and I'll have an appetizer, entree, and a dessert.
Okay.
And it really just depends on what I'm feeling that week. Most of the time it's pasta, but I've gotten a little creative,
Nice. Okay.
Just a little.
a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Grandma's banana pudding.
Oof.
Yeah. You want to be careful with that cheat meal too, though, because I've had a
Yeah.
bad experience
Really?
with overdoing it after a show. It was a really tough prep for me.
Yeah.
A really tough show for me, and so I kind of put that in. I was in my feelings when I went out for that first that cheat meal after, and I had So you got to be really, really careful and strategic about what it is that you want to eat after the show.
Okay.
Yeah,
You guys do that? You normally right after, or do you wait maybe a day,
It's
or
right after.
it's right after?
it's right after. You'll see a lot of people still with their tan on and their
Yeah.
suits. They just go right into the restaurant.
Yeah. Beeline it.
Yeah.
For sure.
I most of the time I'll plan it out, but I haven't ran into that case yet to where it really affected me. I
Yeah.
can eat a lot of. I've always been a kid that can eat a lot of food, so most of the time I just can't eat as much after the competition.
Mm.
So, which is always a little funny to me.
Right, because you're so used to it, and now that you
Yeah.
can indulge, it's like
Yeah, I can't
Can't.
eat it. So,
Yeah.
so the leftovers taste even better.
Yeah.
this was up. Go ahead, you
So I wanted to ask, with becoming a bodybuilder, how does it affect your relationship mentally, physically, sexually, financially? Because you have to put so much more into being the bodybuilder that you want to do. It's a full-time job.
Mhm.
Um,
It's a good question.
Go ahead.
from the perspective, and I don't want to be being a mom, right? And if you're in a relationship, it can be. And shout out to all the dads out there who are taking care of the kids. I don't want to take anything away from anybody, but I think it can be a little bit more difficult if you have a family and you have kids because they didn't sign up for this.
Mm.
Right.
You know what I mean? So just having your meal prepping, your cooking, and at the same time, your family, they're not on the plan. They want to eat what they want to eat. So
Right.
that's 2 meals. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So you're going to have to plan for them. You have to plan for yourself. And then the time that you have to dedicate to the sport. So
Mm.
you just want to make sure that your family is all in.
Yeah.
Because it could cause some problems when
Yeah.
you're especially if you're working a full-time job and then you got to get in the gym, whatever the case may be. your family is going to have to. It's almost as if they're competing with you because you're in the gym, you're spending time away from them. You're not a lot of fun because when we're going out to restaurants and we're going out to eat, you're on plan, and there's certain things that you can't eat.
Yeah.
So you have to be a little bit more flexible. I have taken my meals with me and been sitting at the table eating a meal, one of my, my little container, and everybody else, because that's what I have to do to be able to spend time with my family. Because it used to be a time when I wouldn't go, and I would exclude myself. So I've had to learn to try to, people are looking at you crazy because you're sitting there with your container, but it just,
it is
that's
what
how
it
I
is.
balance. It is what it is.
It's horrible when it's cold, right?
Well, yeah. I've had restaurants that are nice enough to heat it up for me.
That's nice.
To heat my meal up for me. So, but not most of the time, if I know that I'm going to go somewhere and I may not have access to a meal, I actually have one of those portable warmers.
Oh,
you ever
nice.
seen those?
I have
and well, I'll put it in there, and you can plug it into your car, and so you put the container in there, and it will heat it up and it'll be warm for you.
That's so fancy.
Yeah. I'm real. I get real creative. I get real creative with my meals.
I need that link to that.
You can get it from Amazon.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah. So it can be difficult. You definitely want to be understanding, and you're, just understanding that your family and your friends, they're not competing. This is something that you decided to take on, and for them to support you, it's a huge undertaking for them. Huge.
Yeah, for me, it was like my friends, they would just joke about it because one of my buddies owns a restaurant, so we would all meet there. So everybody's eating great Cuban food, and I would have some almonds, some, little pieces of chicken, and they would just, and like the owner of the restaurant, Billy, he used to always say, "Man, how many almonds you eating? 8 almonds? Like, what are you doing with 8 almonds?"
Literally.
Yeah. So I would also take my food. I've never thought about asking a restaurant to warm up my food, so I just kind of became comfortable with eating cold or room temperature food.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste the best, but you got to get your macros in. But it's definitely hard during holidays when you're on prep. It's hard. It could be difficult on relationships, especially if the person isn't into bodybuilding. So now it's like you're learning and you're teaching someone about the entire sport and just trying to hold it all together. So it does get difficult, but
No, I mean, but I'm interested in you were saying like your family's not into it, and that's a good kind of like it's tough, right? It has to be tough.
They get sick of you real fast.
Yeah.
All the meals a day, you want chicken and you want fries, but I need salmon and rice and asparagus.
Yeah, then they're not feeling it.
yeah.
But it also must be really cool for them to see that their mother, in that type of in that competition. You know what I mean?
Definitely, they're my biggest cheerleaders. But it is, I mean, it can be tough. They're over it. At some point they're just like, oh, okay.
Who has been your guys' biggest supporter? Someone who really like helped you, like, you know what, man, like this is amazing. Like the fact that they're able to back me up and all this. And
most of the time it's team
Yeah.
members. People who are like-minded people who understand, people who are doing the same things that you're doing. It's hard for people who don't do it to understand. Okay. Yeah. It's tough.
For me, it's like my coach, and I'm with another coach now, but my last coach and this coach, it's a team of us, and they've all been very supportive. And I say family and not friends because my inner circle of friends is just like family.
Nice.
So they supported me the same way. And it was funny because my family friends, like to go out and drink. I was sober for 5.5 years just because of the sport.
Yeah.
Recently started back, but as of this past Sunday, I'm back dry just to start getting, try to get prepared for another competition. So they would also joke about that. Like, do you want an extra Red Bull or extra water? That water is like $1,000, so they would always joke. We would kid around, but, they're really supportive because they know how much the sport means to me.
That's amazing. Let's get back into the comments real quick before we ask. What I have a question about judges when it comes to competitions. Are they biased, and what do they really look for in competitions? For those who want to know.
Who asked that question?
I have Jordan Tate and Madison Malisi.
Okay. Shout out to Madison. How you doing? So yeah, you have to have a certain mindset. You can't take it personal.
Yeah.
Right. I've had competitions where I felt a different way than the judges felt.
Yeah.
So I mean, is there some bias? Could be, but it's part of the sport.
Yeah.
And getting the feedback from the judges, whether it be real or what your personal opinion might be, is important. So you just kind of take it with with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 9 times out of 10, when you're on stage, you know where you need to improve.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So you kind of know before the judges even tell you.
Yeah.
You see the people standing next to you. You know where your competition is.
Yeah.
So but most of the time, it's I think it's for the feedback that I've received from the judges has been accurate and fair.
Yeah. I mean, it's a subjective sport.
Yeah.
So you can't let it mentally destroy you.
Yeah.
You have to use that to fuel the fire.
Gotcha.
My feedback was spot on. It was brutal. It was brutal. For example, again, I'm 6'9". I'm 240 pounds. So really I weigh more than the majority of competitors on the stage. But since guys are shorter, they just look bigger.
Right.
At 180, they look bigger.
Yeah.
So the judge met with him. He was like, "Oh, you look great. But let me tell you, bigger shoulders, bigger chest, rounder shoulders, rounder chest, bigger back." So I was like, "Oh, great. So a whole do-over." And I was like, "What's that, 10 or 15 pounds?" He was like, "No, maybe more like 20, 25.
Really?
Yeah. So in order for me to be 265 or 270 on stage, realistically, I need to be at about 290 or 300 before I even start cutting weight. And that has to be lean muscle, because the more fat you put on, you can still burn it off.
Yeah.
But you're going to end up burning off fat muscle too.
Gotcha.
So
We also have Morgan Fenton. She wants to know, how do you both stay motivated? What is it that drives you every day? And I know you guys mentioned the love for the sport, but
Well, life is, things happen. This past year for me was tough. It was tough for me to get back into the mindset of, you have life. Life happens. We don't live in the sport.
Yeah.
You have other things that are going on with family and things like that. So to stay motivated, I just try to always remember, I know it's kind of a cliche why you started the sport, and just I always have tunnel vision there's a goal, right? So you want to set your goals for yourself, even though you may not reach those goals, every competition. But so that's the biggest motivation for me, is to set goals and know what it is that I want to achieve.
Got it.
So that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah. Mine is in different steps. Again, I have a goal.
Yeah.
Of course, I want to be on the Olympia stage, but the real fuel is my previous loss. I have to do better every time, which can be my own destruction, because when do you stop competing?
That's true.
So, you struggle with that.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to set a stop date. Like, at this time, I'm just going to maybe step away from the sport or reevaluate it, which is also hard, because again, you just want to beat that last placing that you had. Even if you're first place, you still want, well, now I have to defend the title. So it's ongoing.
Nice. Have you guys coached anybody yet, or have you guys thought maybe considered about being coaches maybe when this is all
I
said
have
and
never
done?
considered coaching for competition. I am a fitness coach, nutrition coach, wellness coach.
Okay.
But never. That is, I stay in my lane.
Yeah.
So no, I have not. Not at this time. Not yet.
Gotcha.
I'm an only child, so I'm really selfish. So really, I just want to make sure that I'm reaching my goals first.
Okay.
Because again, bodybuilding, it is a full-time job.
Yeah.
Plus, you have to work another full-time job to pay for that. It's just a lot that you have to put in. And when you're coaching somebody else, that's another full-time job, because you're putting their health in your hands too.
Yeah.
And honestly, I just don't have the time for it.
Would not. That's a great point. And that's what I found when I'm coaching my my wellness clients. When I'm in a competition, it can get really tough.
Really?
It can get really tough, and it's not fair to them.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
because it's going to be all about you.
Yeah.
When you're in prep season.
And
Yeah.
just to kind of talk about something we mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
I know we said food is one of the hardest things. Sleep is also one of the hardest things because you have to get a certain amount of sleep because you actually cut more fat when you're sleeping.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that the only reason, or why do you think that's very important when you're in this lifestyle?
Well, I can speak from a woman's perspective.
Yeah.
Just getting that appropriate amount of sleep, cortisol levels, stress levels,
Yeah.
Okay.
all of that, of those little things. Man, will make you carry water.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Really?
So yeah, it's very important that you get those 7 hours of sleep. And if you have a busy lifestyle, you're working,
Yeah.
and everything else that you have going on, trying to get to the gym. Right now, I'm in the gym. Sometimes it's almost 9 o'clock at night because that's just the way my schedule is going.
Right.
So I get home, I got to try to get to bed and work. So yeah, it's tough, but you want to make sure that you get that sleep. It's very important.
Yeah. Guys go through those same things. One of the things is you need to get that sleep because you're mental.
Yeah.
That's going to kick in. Your temper, you'll get upset over the smallest things because you didn't get sleep. So sleep is really, really important. And I go to the gym. I'm trying to be at the gym between 4 and 4:30 in the morning. And what happens at night? If I sit on the couch at 8 o'clock, 8:15, it's not 8:15 when I get up. It's 3:30 in the morning.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you just have to get that sleep.
Yeah.
So I have another question for you guys. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years when it comes
That's
to
just going
bodybuilding?
back to what Ayinde said about looking and forward. How long? It's funny because when I'm working out, how long am I going to do this? I'm always thinking that every single day. I'm like, okay, how long are you going to do this? How long are you really? When are you going to retire from this? And so I don't know. I'm going to keep going until I can't. I'm blessed to be my age and to get on stage with women half my age and place first place over them and be in the gym.
Big ups to that.
Big ups to that. Yes. So I'm gonna ride it till the wheels fall off, and I don't know how long that's gonna be. I've seen competitors in their 60s.
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know if I'm gonna want to go there. Who knows? We'll see. But I'm not taking anything off the table right now. I feel pretty good, and I'm gonna keep pushing until I can't do it.
I love it.
Yeah. That's a great point because you really don't know when you want to stop.
Yeah.
So you do have to evaluate that, after every competition.
Yeah.
Because I'm in my late 40s. So for me, it's just like, will there be a 50-year-old Olympian? But my thing is, I feel I have a great shot at it for next year, as long as I obtain the goals that I want. So for me, I believe within 5 years, I'll just be defending the title.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
I love it. Love to hear that.
Okay.
We have a question on Facebook. I want to ask you. This is a good question. What is the biggest life lesson bodybuilding has taught you guys so far?
How strong mentally. You have to be really, really strong mentally. And it can be a lonely sport.
It definitely
you're in the gym,
is.
You got your headphones on and you're just in the zone. It can get really, really lonely. Sometimes I've taken a couple group fitness classes just so I can, I'm just like, I want to interact.
Yeah.
So, but you have to be really mentally strong. So it's taught me, that, man, I can do anything.
Yeah.
You can take control of your body and get it to do what you want it to do and just mentally have the fortitude to do what it takes to get to where you need to go, man. And in life, you just feel like I can really accomplish anything if I could do that. If I could eat the same things every day and just be that mentally dedicated to, to that one thing, you can dedicate yourself to anything you want to do.
Yeah. Like you hear a lot of people throwing around words like dedication, motivation, and all of these things. But until you go through bodybuilding and just see the type of discipline that you really have to put in, then that's when you really know, like, okay, so somebody says I have to get ready for this job. This is going to be easy compared to what I just had to go through. Because some people, you go through a prep 5 months or 6 months. So imagine you're going through prep for 6 months. You're doing cardio twice a day. You're lifting for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. You're eating 6 to 7 meals a day. You have to get 6 to 7 hours of sleep in minimum. And you still have to do your 8 to 10 hour job.
So you're literally planning every second almost of the day.
You have to plan everything. So you're so organized. So it's literally you're a project manager,
Yeah.
a parent, and all type of things every single day. Even on your rest day, you have to plan your rest and grocery shopping.
Yeah.
Shout out to Instacart.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
It's been my best friend. Like literally to be able to manage and to do, I mean, you just have to do what you can to use those little things that are gonna help you.
Okay.
So Instacart is my best friend right now.
Yeah.
You know, I got a few photos over here.
Uh-oh.
Now, I just put a few photos off the internet because I wanted to see if you guys had any idea of who these people were.
Okay.
And I just wanted, so these are the very first two that I've seen. My photos came out halfway, but they are bodybuilders, a woman and a man.
Okay.
Do you guys know who they are?
I can't see the
Can we
top
turn
here.
it?
Yeah,
Yes,
of course.
absolutely.
So I'm not familiar with all
I've
of the
seen
women.
these pictures here, but I am not familiar with this young lady here.
Okay.
I've seen these on social media.
Well, I believe because Ayinde being the tallest, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Gigi wanted to show this.
It's the
This
shortest.
is the shortest guy.
Wow.
Okay.
She's 4'2",
Wow.
and he is 4'1".
Okay, I've seen that.
They
Yeah,
are bodybuilders.
Nice.
and I love it because it's
That's
like
inspirational.
absolutely. It doesn't matter
Mhm.
how tall, how big or small you are. If you're really dedicated to the sport and you love it,
Yeah.
you really can do it.
Yeah.
Her name is Tiny Titan.
Tiny
I see
Titan.
it.
I like that.
Titan.
Yeah.
I've actually seen a competitor with no arms
Yes.
before. Have you seen that?
I've seen
Really?
there's a men's physique competitor who he has two prosthetic legs
Yeah,
and he was dominating.
Yeah.
He
really.
looks amazing. And you just have to think of how tough it is to get to
Absolutely.
build that
God,
muscle.
I know
and
who
come
that
on.
is. Now we won't get into this, but there's an interesting story behind who
Oh,
that
yeah.
guy is.
Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah.
Coleman.
The king.
Ronnie Coleman. What y'all know about Ronnie Coleman?
So I can
You
tell
say he
you,
the king.
yeah.
Okay.
Ronnie
I
Coleman,
heard you mention him earlier today.
8-time IFBB Pro champion. But it is a funny story with him. He was losing, and I can't think of the name of the gentleman that helped him out the night before. But vodka played a huge part in his success the following day, which now a lot of people use this. People take 2 to 4 shots of vodka the night before to dry out their skin.
Really?
Yeah. It's kind of like a natural diuretic.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say natural, but but it's a diuretic to help you dry out your skin.
Yeah.
So you can look more vascular and tighter. So Ronnie didn't do this. So he was doing this with, still can't think of the name of the guy, but they were drinking vodka and eating pizza the night before. So the next morning he looked amazing, and that was the start of his 8-year run.
Really?
Before that, he did not win at all. Like he was placing 10th. So to go from 10th to first place in a year.
Vodka and pizza. You guys hear it first. That's the secret to success.
Vodka and pizza. So the lady is Iris Kylie.
Okay.
She's dope. She's won a few championships for the last past few years. She's upcoming.
Okay.
So I had just wanted to print out her picture because I was like, when they mentioned that Miss Robbie was coming in today, I was like, okay, a woman bodybuilder. I want to see exactly how she looked. I really.
This
So,
is a different.
this-
This is
Yeah.
a different
Yeah.
division. But shout out to, I'm sorry, what's her name?
Iris Kylie.
Iris. Okay, yeah, Iris is doing the thing. She's gorgeous.
Yeah,
impressive.
I believe
Beautiful.
that's
It's impressive.
bodybuilding.
Yes.
If you have to think about it, they're telling me to get bigger and build thicker muscle.
Yes.
She has it. So just imagine how much harder it was for her
Absolutely.
to do that,
Absolutely.
because I'm having a tough time as well, but
Absolutely.
she's able to accomplish that and dominate the sport. Very big ups to her.
Yes. I wanted to point that out because I was like, oh yes, like she looks amazing.
It's amazing
Yeah.
when you see those people and
Mhm.
you're actually living that. You know what it took for her to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Hard work
And
and
what-
dedication.
And just to let you guys know, that's not like a 1-year transformation.
Absolutely not.
That's a minimum of 5 years of putting in consistent work, and maybe even more.
Jose, you want to show that picture?
Yes, absolutely. This is the picture here of Miss Iris. It's amazing. Absolutely. So I want to know a little bit more about you guys before we end the show. It's just like, so what is it that you guys like to do for fun? What is something that's like your guilty pleasure, whether when you do have free time?
I love to work out.
Okay.
That's my extracurricular.
Got it.
When in my free time, that's what I do. I go
Yeah.
to the gym. Yeah, seriously. I love it. I love everything about fitness. I really do. It's really my passion.
Okay.
Definitely.
There's two. That's one of them. But I love to eat tacos.
I do too.
Really?
I think, I do
Yeah.
too. Tacos, yeah. Okay.
What kind of tacos? What kind of
Me, I love lengua.
Okay. Oof, there you
Lengua
go.
tacos,
Yes.
just lime and cilantro. And that's really it.
It's cow tongue for those who
Yeah.
don't know. It's delicious.
It is.
Absolutely delicious. I
It
agree.
is. And I will take 8 to 10 of those tacos.
Okay.
There you
8
go.
to 10. I'll finish at 2.
There you go. What kind of tacos do you like, Robbie? What's your go-to?
I'm really a foodie.
Okay.
And there's nothing that I don't like to eat. I
Nice.
can't think of anything that I don't like to eat. I'm a foodie, but I do like tacos and pizza. Yeah. I love trying new foods.
Yeah, that pizza can't go wrong.
Yeah, you
No, you
can't
can't
go
go
wrong
wrong.
with
You really
pizza.
can't.
I love
It's
pizza.
a good cheesy
Absolutely.
pizza.
Oh,
And Yende, it's definitely time for you to eat now.
Well, yeah. What is it, 1 o'clock? 1:30?
It is 1
What?
o'clock. So do
Okay.
you guys eat like every 2 hours? Are you eating every 2 hours on that?
every 2 to 3.
Yeah.
Every 2 to 3.
Is there like immediate fasting in between? Like maybe is there a certain time you guys stop at all? Like eating, or is it
I stop when I get all of my meals in.
Yeah.
okay?
So for me, I try to do 2.5 to 3.5. But if I'm in a time crunch, then sometimes I'll eat every 2 hours for a couple of meals. So my most important meal is breakfast. So I try to get up to get that meal in early.
Right.
Yeah. So as
How
long
does
as I get that one
breakfast
in.
meal look for you? I'm sorry.
Oh, my breakfast?
Yes.
How much time do we got? So my breakfast is a cup of egg whites, 2 eggs, 2 whole eggs, 2 cups of cream of rice. But I made a mistake with my coach. I thought it was dry and then cook it, but it was cooked. So imagine I was eating a box of cream of rice for like 3 weeks straight.
Wow.
So, and it's a 1/4 cup of berries, 1/4 cup of pineapples, banana or 2. I go with the 2. And that's just breakfast. Oh, and 2 large scoops of almond butter. That's breakfast.
That's a lot of breakfast.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, don't ask me mine because it doesn't look anything like that right now.
Yeah, that's
It's a little bit different for me.
there's a question on the comments that I didn't think to ask, and that's a really good question. Poses. It's about the art of pose. Like, what is your like that's something in the sport that's, I guess, I don't want to say maybe overlooked, because everyone, the working out
That
part
you
is
can't overlook your
Yeah.
posing, and that's unfortunately what a lot of competitors will do, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Posing is just as important. Your posing, you can have a perfect physique and get out on the stage and screw your
Yeah.
poses up, and that'll cost you
Yeah.
your
Really?
placing. So posing is really, really important. I had a great coach who we would pose and hold. I can hold a pose on stage, and you'll see somebody standing next to me who may look aesthetically, a
Yeah.
little bit better than me, be bigger, but can't hold a pose.
Mm.
I pride myself
Okay.
on being able to stand on stage. That just shows my conditioning, and just that practice, being able to hold those poses is very, very important.
Really.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
You'll see people that aren't aesthetically pleasing as somebody else.
Yeah.
They'll have the art of posing perfected so well that they can hide their flaws.
Mhm.
Versus the person that looks good and they might just stand there and their poses aren't looking as well. Not only can they lose one place, but if there's a couple of people who are perfected their posing, they could fall 2 to 3 places.
Really.
So,
Very, very
yeah,
important.
and a lot of athletes get so caught up of building muscle and just looking better, they forget about the posing and they try to learn it within 6 weeks. You should start your posing as soon as you start your prep.
Mm.
So if you're 12 weeks out and you're going to do a 12-week prep, you should start your posing.
Do you guys have a favorite pose that would really crush it when you're up there?
I love all the poses in
Okay.
figure. Yeah, I love all the poses in figure. I don't have one that's my back pose is. I have a really great back.
Okay, there you go.
My bad. Yeah, let me just say that.
There you go.
Let me just, I'm not even going to be modest about it. Yeah, that probably might be my best one, my back
Well,
pose.
they say competitions are won from the back.
Yeah, for
Okay,
real.
Yeah.
nice.
For
Yeah, the
real.
back is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
For me, I try to be strategic. So they do what's called first call outs. It's like 5 or 6 people they call out first, which is typically the best, and then so on and so forth. So depending on where they have you standing or where they move you throughout that time when you're on stage, I try to angle my poses, and it depends on my arm placement, just so I can have the better look for that angle.
Okay.
So I try to be strategic. But if I'm in the middle, which we call dead center, that's where you want to be. I like one hand on the hip.
One hand on the hip. Okay.
How
Nice.
long do you guys have to actually stand up there and pose before
It
they
depends.
judge you
It
guys?
depends on what the judges are looking at. Sometimes, the rotation can go pretty quickly, but sometimes if it's a great lineup and you have, some great competition on the stage, they'll hold you up there looking at you for a long time. So you got to be able to stand, and you have some people who are shaking and sweating.
Wow.
Yeah, holding those poses.
And that's why they hold you up there, because if it's harder for them to decide, because if you all are good posers and you all have great
They'll test your
great-
endurance and everything. They'll plan.
exactly. So it's like this person is shaking, move them towards the end,
Wow.
move the other person towards the middle. Yeah.
There's so
And
much
keep
to it. You don't even
smiling.
know.
I
Yeah.
know.
Smiling is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You holding those poses, and people don't realize that you're flexing, right?
Mhm.
And it's almost just like you're doing a workout.
Yeah.
Your back is strained and all of that. And while you're doing that, you have to maintain that face, that smile, and be looking at those judges and smiling. Yeah. Keep that face at all times.
I'm so interested now. This is
I'm just like, so you standing on your toes. I seen pictures of you flexing, standing on toes, and
you keep smiling.
So here's the one thing that people don't practice. You'll see people practicing their posing, but they're not smiling while they're practicing. And you have to remember, that's a muscle too.
It is.
So when you're on stage, if you don't practice that, like I've seen other competitors, they're holding their poses, but you can see their smile going away because they just haven't built up that muscle memory in their smile.
Speaking of that, I've noticed that some bodybuilders' faces are more so sunk in. Is it?
I've had somebody ask me that before. How do you get muscles in your face? We call it I call it figure face. So as you get leaner, right? Obviously, right now I have a fuller face, but as I get leaner and I lose more body fat, obviously I'm going to lose, a lot of the fullness in my face. So that's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all it is.
That, and it's also combined with the water manipulation. So you try to like drain some of the water out. And a lot of people think the way you do that is by stop drinking water, but it's the opposite.
You're drinking more water.
You drink more, you water low. Yeah. For example, I'm not going to give everybody the full secret,
Right.
but there's a few days during that week of the competition, I'll drink 3 gallons of water in one day.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of water.
Yes, it is.
You can drink a gallon in a day.
Yeah, people would be surprised the way food manipulation and water and things like that affect your body.
Yeah.
So just think, if you're eating consistently bad things, you're putting those things into your body, and it's the reason why we look the way that we look. We eat poorly. Food it's serious business. Not reading those labels and knowing what you're putting in your body.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So how do you change that? Like, if for a person like me, I can say I don't eat healthy a lot. My husband is a personal trainer, so it is different things that has to be cooked in my home. Now, I don't eat healthy at all. So if I wanted to start eating healthy, would I have to start with a life coach or start meal prepping? How would that work out for?
There's little things that you can do. You have some people who don't even drink water.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
So that's what I tell people. If you're really, really interested in changing your lifestyle, start with little things. So if you're a person who this may be your only, you drink that little sip that I drink out of this bottle. Some people will only drink that. So I want you to start drinking. I'll say how many ever ounces of water per day to start slowly, changing your mindset.
Okay.
So just drinking water, little things you can start with, maybe eliminating sodas from your diet and stuff, those bad things I don't want to, just throw it all at you at once, because it's going to be a shock for you, right? So starting to drink water more on a daily basis, eliminating those sugars and things in your diets, coffees and those sweet coffees that you drink. Coffee is okay. But if I told you, oh, I only want you to drink black coffee, then you might look at me like I was crazy.
Because I'd be like, could you put 17 sugars in there, please?
No,
So it's just little baby steps, to get you. You're not a figure competitor, so I wouldn't give you the same protocols
For
that
sure.
someone that we would have. Real life things that you can do on a daily basis. I give you a couple of cheat meals. When I first started in the business, it was always the 80-20 rule, right? You can eat good, clean 80% of the time, and the other 20% is when you eat some of the things that you would like to have,
Okay.
in your diet. So it's real life. I don't expect you to eat like a figure competitor or bodybuilder.
Absolutely.
It's unrealistic.
And honestly, for the non-competitors who want to live like more of a healthier lifestyle, there's so many things out right now that you could use that makes it easier that we didn't have like 20, 30 years ago. Like think of all of the synthetic sugars that are okay, not the best, but it's better than just eating sugar.
Yeah.
So you could do things to flavor your coffee that aren't, that are sugar-free.
So substitutes that can help you at least a little bit,
Yeah.
for sure. Get into
And that can help you transition to where
Yeah.
you can just do the straight black coffee. Or there's just other things like there is a sugar-free Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, which is pretty good. So if you're having, you cannot tell the difference, but if you're having trouble like really getting away from those sugary foods, then start with those to transition off of it, and just try to eat the healthier foods too.
Nice.
Like get the leaner meats. Don't get the 80-20 ground turkey. Try like 93.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Start going up in that until you try the 97. That's a whole new ball game.
One final question, a little bit deeper one, right? What legacy do you guys want to leave behind when this is all said and done? Like what do you want to be known for when your career as a bodybuilder is over?
I always like to inspire people, especially the younger generation. I think there's a lot of unhealthy habits that they have.
Yeah.
But what I would like to inspire people to do and to know is that it all starts with your health.
Okay.
Anything, you can always tell what's going on with a person based on how they take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Mentally and just other things that are going on in their life. So if you can take control of your health, start with the little things, as I said earlier. You can manage. There's so many other things in your life that you will be able to manage.
Okay.
So that's what I would like to inspire people to do, and just to know that it doesn't matter how old you are, that whatever the goal may be, that you can still rock that thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, age does not matter. It's all about, what you believe within yourself that you can do. You can do anything.
Yeah. The body follows the mind, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I want people to always believe that, just have a strong mind.
Mm-hmm.
I got my master's degree. I didn't do well in, my first time around in college because I was immature.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I put my mind to it, I went and got my master's and I was an A student. And then at the end, I was just like, isn't that something?
Yeah.
When I don't want to play around and not focus, I can really do something.
Yeah.
Shortly after I finished my master's degree is when I started my first prep. It's actually the same, it's like 7 days after or something like that. Well, no, November 19th, 2017. It was like December 7th or something like that is when I started my first prep. And it was all because I wanted to challenge myself mentally too.
Okay.
Because that's where I fell off. Mental breakdown.
Yeah.
So I started eating and drinking. So now, stronger mind and everything else falls into place. Yeah.
We really appreciate you guys coming in. This was a great conversation.
Thank you.
Definitely got
Thank
a lot
you.
out of it for sure. And for those who want to follow you guys on social media, where can they follow you guys?
I'm Robbie Anderson on Facebook. I am Figure Fit. I believe it's still 2021 right now. And then Basic Training Fitness on IG.
All right. Well, you could start with my first name because I don't think there's too many people in social media with it. It's Ayinde, Ayinde, last name Avery. Or you could type in my handle name, which is IFBB_pro_big_poo. My nickname's Big Pooh.
Okay.
Big Pooh. And of course, y'all know that I
Sign us up.
am Geneva Perkins, and this is Chicago Land Sport Radio. It is not just sports, it's a way of life. And we are out. Tune in next time.
All right, guys.